WWE made a very interesting decision on Monday, Brian, because we saw what happened with Chad Gable. We heard the news before Raw, and everybody was saying Chad Gable's contract expires on Friday. But we saw on Monday Night Raw, they ended that segment with Chad Gable holding up the United States champion.
Yep.
Now, as of today, Friday, June 7th, Chad Gable's contract is expired. So Chad Gable effectively, as of this moment, is not with WWE anymore. He's not, at least not signed to
Right.
WWE. Now, it was also reported that AEW has interest in a Chad Gable, and there are people in AEW pushing for Tony Khan to sign Chad Gable. Chad Gable's not under contract. There is no what's the little fee thing they call the little time frame they have, like when you gotta wait
Oh yeah, that's
6 weeks
not a
or
thing no
something.
more. It was removed.
That's not that clause. Yeah, that's not there because his contract expired. Chad Gable could show up on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night. Brian, do you think this is a possibility, or do you think WWE somehow has this situation under control?
I think they have it under control just because of Monday Night Raw. I just don't think you let a guy ride that high, and you know that he's on his way to the out the door. I heard that they made an excellent offer, but we don't know much else yet, and it's tough with Chad Gable. It really is. Right now, you can say he has the most motion he's had in his career. He's hot. I mean, he's getting heel chance. I
He
mean, people
is.
are interested in this storyline. You can arguably say that this is a top 3 storyline in the WWE right now when you look at everything combined. It's tough. And you could even say he's next up for the Intercontinental title. I can see him winning at Clash at the Castle. So this is interesting. I don't know where this is going to go. If it was up to me, I'd have him stay just because of what he's doing right now. AEW, he can go. He's going to have crazy good matches. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I also think that there's so many wrestlers out there with a bigger name than Chad Gable that maybe a month or two from now, he'd already be lost in the shuffle, just like the Miros, Andrade. I mean, I can go on and on. So that's the only negative with the Chad Gable situation. But I do understand that these wrestlers want their coins at the end of the day, and that's a definitely something that I can see Chad Gable doing.
Yes, and there is proof that these wrestlers want their coins because AEW could not give Chad Gable an offer while he was locked in with WWE. So the fact that he let that contract expire and he didn't take an offer from WWE shows that he's like 37 or 38. So it's time for this guy to get the biggest contract he can because he's not going to be doing this for too much longer. I'm almost sure of it. Now,
Right.
you said you could see him winning the Intercontinental Championship at Clash of Champions.
Clash at the Castle.
I could see him Clash at the Castle.
Yep.
I could see him winning the TNT Championship at Forbidden Door
Okay.
because that title, there's nobody holding it right now. And
Yeah.
if AEW makes him an offer, look, you're doing this in WWE right now. We can have you doing this in AEW. We'll pay you this much. And if their offer is more than WWE, because AEW is in a tough spot right now. WWE is pulling all of these wrestlers that they want or these big stars when their contracts expire. You think about a Drew McIntyre, you think about a Seth Rollins. Right now, we don't know, but AEW has not acquired Becky Lynch yet. They got to pull somebody from WWE because the narrative has switched. It has been all of these wrestlers want to leave WWE and go to AEW. Now it looks like the wrestlers want to stay with WWE. So Tony Khan's going to have to open up that checkbook, give Chad Gable a blank check just to make a statement. This guy stood tall on Monday Night Raw. But
Agreed.
guess what? AEW is the place to be. It's where the best wrestle. And this is where Chad Gable wanted to be over that WWE contract you guys wanted to give him. So I think this is a very, very big and this is a very important moment for WWE because the way they made him look strong on Monday Night Raw, if Chad Gable ends up going to WWE or AEW, they're going to realize, you know what? Vince McMahon was right. You cannot do that. On these guys, last show on their contract, you got to bury them. It made Becky Lynch look strong by putting her in that cage match so she wouldn't have to take another pin to lose the championship. So I think if Chad Gable makes the jump, WWE is going to learn a lesson Vince McMahon learned pretty early. So this is an interesting situation. And of all of these releases or contract expiring, I think Chad Gable is the most interesting case right now.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I definitely do agree with that. But Man, Chad Gable leaves, bro, after getting so hot. That'd be interesting, bro. Because I'd legit be worried a little bit just because of the way AEW is being booked right now. You see all these wrestlers complaining that they're not getting TV time because they're literally like they have such a
Hmm?
big roster that they just can't figure it out with that. But hey, man, I'm all for
But
getting the bag. So if he can get the bag and the
gotta,
TNT title, hey, you made a good point with that one.
but you also got to think about it. Chad Gable, I don't know if he would want to go over there too just to be booked the best way because he's not going to be a world champion in WWE or AEW. But I mean, like you said, if you can go over there and if you can get that money, you go over there and you get that money. Booking isn't everything all the time. And, these wrestlers, they don't have a long shelf life. Unfortunately, what they do is tough. So he's getting older. You can't really worry about, I'm going to be over here and be the WWE Intercontinental Champion when you're getting older. You got to worry about what money you're going to get from either one of these companies. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I'd say he still has like probably a good 5 years left. Because I feel like once wrestlers enter their 40s, some of them can still really go. I mean, you got the likes of Bobby
Yeah.
Lashley, uh, you got guys like that who are built, similar to Chad Gable. But Chad Gable was just short.
Chris
You
Jericho.
know what I'm saying? Chris Jericho. I don't like mentioning him too much, but you know what I'm saying. Nah, man. I mean, I listen. I think it can. I think it can be good. Just don't know if it will be good for his career, but definitely financially and when you're talking about
I think so.
stability, for sure.
Rhodes when he left. You think about Drew McIntyre when he left. Jinder Mahal. If Chad Gable does go to AEW and he shines, let's say he has some killer world beater matches with Bryan Danielson. He has one with Kenny Omega. You got guys like who else?
I mean,
Will Ospreay. I mean, you could just keep going naming people. I mean, even John Moxley. I think Chad Gable would get in there and actually have a slugfest with John Moxley.
oh
I think he
yeah,
would do it. And he, if he makes a name for himself and somehow does get his hands on that AEW championship, he can leave them in about 2 to 3 years, go back to WWE for a few years, and he'll be a bigger star than he ever was. I mean, another name you got to point out there is Swerve Strickland. He was nowhere near a world champion and probably would have never got there in the WWE. But
yeah,
now he went to AEW, made himself a world champion. If he goes back to the WWE, you better guarantee he's going to be at the top of that card as well.
yeah. I mean, if I was Chad Gable, and you worried a little bit about financial stability, money. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is probably one of your last contracts. I mean, maybe second to
Yep.
last. I would go to AEW for 3 years. Go back to WWE after the 3 years. You're still 41. You can probably still go for another 2, 3, 4 years till you're 45. I mean, you got look at Finn Balor. He's like 43 or 44. I mean, you could still go 4 more years and you end your career there if that's really what you're worried about.
Let's just hope it's voluntarily because we see how strong this AEW style is. Unfortunately, we see what happened to his partner, Jason Jordan. I mean, sometimes age isn't the factor. It's just a wrong move in the ring. So I
Agree.
don't know. Hopefully, just makes the right decision for him and doesn't do it for like legacy because you got to take care of your family at the end of the day. And if that money is at AEW, bro needs to go ahead and make that jump.
Agreed.